I don't even know what week this is. This is week 5? It's week 5, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, it is. Is it? Wait there. It's been week 6. Cool. Well, there you go. Always learning. So, hello everybody. Welcome to the week 6 recap. Well, I'm going to be talking about what I did in week 5 as well, because I did no video last week. Been venturing a little into the unknown this last couple of weeks. So I decided to mark that occasion by sitting on the other side of the picture for a change. So first, a little bit of housekeeping. We are 48 hours away from the release of the Son of Simon album. So if you haven't already, please hop over to iTunes and hit pre-order. And that means it should be with you, I guess, late tomorrow night. I think these things get released at midnight, so it will be, as it ticks over onto Monday, you'll be able to access that. Thank you to all of you who've done so already. It's just such a huge thing for me to release a solo album. And I sort of realised as well, 6 weeks into this thing, I've released more music as part of this challenge in 6 weeks than my band Midgar released in 9 years. Almost double, actually. Almost double the amount of music my band released in that time, which is nuts. So I'm going to be working towards remedying that by spending some time over the next few weeks working on some Midgar stuff, which is very, very exciting. I'm also going to be doing my first deconstruction of another songwriter's music. How I do that, I'm not entirely sure yet, so that's not going to be in this video. I'm trying to decide whether or not to make it into a video or to do like a podcast kind of format. I just need a bit more time to figure out exactly what I'm doing with that, but that is coming. So, on to what I was doing over the last couple of weeks. Week 5, last week, was mobile recording, and I spent all of that week making music on my iPhone, which is just totally insane. I'm using my iPhone now to record this video, so I have prepared a bit of a demo for you on what I did last week. So this is Garageband for iOS. This is recorded off my iPhone 6s Plus, and this is a window called the Live Loops window. So what you're able to do is to load in a bunch of pre-existing samples, so you can actually create your own into these little squares, and then once they're there, you just tap on them and they will play in time with the tempo of the track. You've got those little arrows at the bottom as numbered arrows, and they allow you to trigger a bunch all at once or disable all the others, or you can just tap through them in the order that you want. So here I'm just having a bit of a go with it, and I'm just putting together a kind of a groove, like a little loop idea that I really like, and I'm just going to explore that for a minute and have a bit of a go. Kind of is really just as simple as that. Garageband comes with a bunch of samples that are already arranged in the right order, so you'll have drums and bass and synths and pads and keys and things all arranged together. So once you've had a bit of a play with your live loops, if you actually record what you're doing, then that will put these into what's called the arrange window, and this is just a layout of what I've just recorded. At the bottom here, you've got this effect drawer, and this can create some quite fun effects, and I use this quite a lot. The repeater's quite cool. It allows you to come up with this sort of quite glitchy sound with very little effort. Crusher, it's kind of lame, and this is that annoying thing that DJs sometimes do. But if you use these effects subtly, they could be quite cool. Apart from that. So if I actually hit record when I'm doing those things, it creates this new little effects thing. And this is kind of like recording automation. So then once you've done it, it's then stored. So some of these notes I actually recorded in like I would normally. This allows me to edit them. Anyone that's ever used any MIDI programming software, Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton, this is quite a familiar layout, and this is called the Matrix Editor, or Piano Roll, sometimes as it's called. And this lets you edit the notes that you've put in. You can literally draw them in, or you can just record them in if you want to. On the left hand side here, we've got Garageband's attempt at a mixer, so you can solo tracks out and hear things by themselves. You can alter the volume. There's no actual proper mixer in Garageband. It all exists within this window. And here's our keyboard. So I can just play this like a real keyboard. Now, because I've got the 6S, this has got the 3D touch display, which allows me to press harder on the screen, and that will change the sound of the notes. I'm just going to change this here so you can see what my finger's doing. So that's me pressing harder to change the sound. Got a bunch of different instruments here that you can work with. You can literally plug your guitar in if you want to. That audio recorder is what I use to record my vocals. Let's take a look at another project now. This is week 5's Monday track, What Love Feels Like. Nervous, breathing, I can't find my feet. The moments fleeting, every time we meet. What does love like? These vocals were recorded just using the microphone on the iPhone. Slightly annoying thing is if you plug in the headphones that come with your iPhone, it then actually moves to the microphone on the headphones. So I had to plug in some headphones that didn't have a microphone, so I was able to actually hear the song, sing in time with it, and record using the phone's microphone. So this is the sampler. So I recorded my voice, and then I'm able to play that same sample at different pitches using the keyboard. You can also manipulate the sample if you want to. You can reverse it. You can create a loop so that when you hold the key down, it just plays it over and over. Change the way the sound develops. You can tune it if you want to. You can create some pretty cool contemporary kind of vocal pitch shifting sounds. So I use this pretty much all the way through the song. So that's about it with my experience of GarageBand for iOS so far. Just proving to you here that I was in fact doing this on my phone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to switch you over to my computer, and this is what I use when I'm working with MIDI instruments or kind of fake instruments. This is a program called Logic, and you'll notice that it looks pretty similar. That's not a coincidence. GarageBand has an awful lot of functionality built in, and Logic's been made to be a bit more accessible these days, so people can really get into using it. It used to be really, really complicated. Along the bottom there, you've got the Matrix Editor with the piano roll, and this is exactly the same as it is in GarageBand. So this is looking at Thursday's track, Le Papillon de Nuit. I mean, I played in on my piano. This then allows me to edit the notes in exactly the same way. This is what you don't have in Garageband on the bottom there. You've got your actual mixer here in Logic, and you've still got those little sliding volume faders on each of the tracks above, same as Garageband, but the mixer allows you to do an awful lot more things, a bit more precise. So I spend a ton of my time looking at the screen. It's incredibly familiar to me. It may look like complete gobbledygook to you, but if you want to learn about how this stuff works, I couldn't recommend Garageband more as an entry-level kind of get in the door experience for this stuff. So overall, I was pretty impressed with Garageband for iOS. I haven't had a chance to have a go at it on the iPad, but I understand it has even broader functionality on the iPad and really can, in many cases, completely replace all the stuff that I've got going on here. This little box I've got here doesn't look like much, but this is called an Apogee Duet, and this essentially allows for things to go in and out of my computer. So I can plug a microphone in and the audio goes to these, my lovely Adam A7 monitors, through this as well. Conveniently, this has a connection to plug into my iPhone. So I can do all the same stuff pretty much on iPhone as I can do with this, which is nuts. I look back at when I first started recording music, and even just the software to record music cost hundreds of pounds. I bought Logic 7 on a student discount for it's about 450 quid in about 2007. So I've come a long way since then. GarageBand is about 3 quid, and if you're interested in learning about how to record music and to make music, you've probably already got the tools to do so. They're in your hand. So I'd encourage you to have a go at it and just see what kind of sounds you can make, because the tools are all there and they work in very much the same way as the stuff that I use professionally. In week 6, I wanted to take that just a little bit further and look at creating music where no real instruments were used. And by that, I mean I didn't actually record the sound of me playing the instruments. So what I've done there is I've used sample libraries of pre-recorded instruments. Many of you who make music will be very familiar with this, and Logic comes with a bunch of samples already included in it. You've got practically a whole orchestra at your disposal there if you want it. So all of the pianos that you heard this week and all the string sounds that you heard this week and everything was made on the computer. There was no... I've got a piano in the house, but I didn't go anywhere near it. I used my keyboard here. My ukulele is currently resting. It's not very good, is it? Got a lovely weighted piano here, and this I use for my string stuff. It's got a handy little thing on it, which you can't quite see. Why is my arm like white? Oh my god. You will be familiar with a pitch bend wheel on a keyboard. Well, there's one next to it which looks the same, but does something slightly different. It's called a modulation wheel, and many string samples will allow you to simulate the sound of the sort of pressure being applied to a bow, and that allows you to give the strings kind of articulation and make them sound more real. So if you're using strings, you're like, why does that sound rubbish? Why is it just in and no dynamic articulation? Try using a modulation wheel on your keyboard and see if it does anything. If it does, you probably have a lot of luck making your strings sound really, really nice. The last track this week I called Livestream because I'm a nerd and everything I do pretty much has to be named after Final Fantasy VII in some way. But this was a really interesting thing. I don't know quite why I decided to do this yesterday, but it's something I've thought about doing for a while. I kind of cheated. I cheated a little bit. It's not a new bit of music. It's actually Thursday's bit of music, Le Papillon de Nuit, which means butterfly of the night, or moth, by the way. The reason I called it that is because the playing position and the piano to play the opening involves the hands going over each other, and it looked a little bit to me like a moth. So I called it that. And I called it that in French because it sounds much cooler than just calling it moth in English. Anyway, live stream. I use an application called Paulstretch. It's got a stupid name, but it is really, really, really cool to manipulate the audio from Thursday's track and just slow it down by a ton. Slowed it down originally by about 400 times. And that meant that the piece of music then went on for over a day. So I had to rein it in a little bit, and this gives you some more tools to change the timbre of the sound, add some extra harmonics and some higher and lower octaves, and apply some equalization filters just to stop it from sounding totally mad. So Friday's track is Thursday's track, just processed so heavily that it moves really, really, really slowly. I'm curious and quite excited to use that same technique to create these sort of vast soundscapey sounds, and then try and rein that in and bring it back into a more familiar songwriting format. So it was just kind of an experiment to kind of get to know how these tools work, so I could then use that to create songs with it. So what I plan to do is to write a piece of music, slow it down by tons, and then write more music over the slowed down sound, and see if I can make some kind of weird, exciting, experimental ambient music, which should be cool. That's coming later. I'm going to be sticking to some more kind of conventional songwriting formats this week, and getting back into recording some vocals as well, because it's been a couple of weeks where I've not had many vocals, and I struggle to call those songs if there's not vocals on there. So I've been exploring techniques that I'd like to apply to a broader whole later on. So that's it for this week. I will be releasing a deconstruction of somebody else's music really, really, really soon. I just got to figure out if it's going to be a podcast or a video. Bit of both, maybe, not sure. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday when the Son of Simon album is released. Thanks, bye.